Hi guys, so it's Tofu episode take two. It took a while, apologies, but it's been a lot going on. You probably know that. So I had to postpone slightly the second episode, but here it is. We're gonna do a tofu take two. So in the first kinda YouTube video, I talked about what to do with tofu and some staples like black salt, you know, how to make egg mayo, and we touched on bases on fresh tofu and other types of tofu. So today we're just gonna continue, and today we're gonna make a super easy, extra fast marinade for tofu that basically once you prepare it, you can store it in a jar. So there's gonna be loads of tips, super easy things to do, no special ingredients, everything replaceable, everything's, you know, easy to substitute, so no need for those crazy trips to the, you know, shops for one ingredient. And also it answers all of your questions in terms of like, what do I do to tofu to make it taste so good and so yummy, and at the same time, you know, still healthy, not too oily, and, you know, etc, etc. So this is, I think, my, you know, go-to recipe. You can't even call it recipe, it's just a way to make it. So again, quantities as always, just super kinda, you know, just chuck everything in. But I will put some, you know, instructions and some measurements, just in case you need them sometimes. So let's get onto it straight away. So, because I'm using a fresh tofu, which is my absolutely by far the most favorite tofu ever, and I'm okay with the tofu that you can buy in the supermarkets on the high street, but I much prefer to go to the Asian shop, Korean shops, Chinese shops, and get a fresh tofu. And a fresh tofu just like that. So you buy it and basically it's swimming in the brine, and it's exactly what you get in Asia. When you go to Malaysia, China, Hong Kong, anywhere, you know, they got these huge barrels full of tofu, and it's so fresh and so yummy. And, you know, to me, this is absolute favorite, not to mention it's much cheaper. So yeah, get the tofu. So this is like fresh tofu because it's always gonna be quite nice and soft. Depending on what we really need, we may want to press it, which I just did. How we press the tofu, super easy. So let me just show you. This is the pressed one already, so we're not gonna waste the time for you to waste it. I'm just gonna open my tofu straight from the brine. I'm just going to cut a bit. I don't need so much. So each tofu is slightly different. So this one is, for example, a bit firmer than my other brand. You just have to get used to it. But what it means, softer tofu and firmer tofu, all it is a quantity of water in here, in this little sponge. How much water we can squeeze out. So firm is the squeezed tofu, soft is less squeezed, and a silken is very watery kinda, and pressed many more times tofu. Anyway, what we're gonna do, how we press it. So we just basically place it on the chopping board, cover it with a clean tea towel even, and then basically cover it all up, then put something heavy or maybe just another chopping board, and on this chopping board I will just put something heavy, for example, like, you know, Pyrex dish or something like that, or, you know, cans of beans or anything like that, and just let it sit there for like 10, 15, 20 minutes. Once it's squeezed out, it's squeezed out. Nothing, you know, if you're gonna leave it for an hour, nothing's gonna happen to it. Obviously, it's just gonna bleed out loads of water, that's it. So all the excess water is there. So I only cut a bit. So this is going to stay in the brine. For example, for tomorrow morning, I can make myself egg mayo for my brunch. Amazing. So we're just gonna leave that here and behind. And in this magical YouTube kitchen, and my tofu is already pressed. So what we're gonna do, just quickly get onto it. So I'm just going to cut the steaks first. So kind of like maybe a centimeter thick. So you don't want the tofu too thin, because it's just going to bake, and it's just going, you know, potentially it will go crumbly, or maybe it will break. We don't really want that. So make it quite nice and thick. And we will just put it all straight away in a container that we're gonna marinate it in. So boom, straight in. You can cut tofu different way as well. So if you want a bigger, bigger steak, so to speak, doesn't matter. Seriously, just go do whatever you want. Anyway, so let's make a quick marinade. So I'm gonna give you two ways, well, not two ways, two flavors of it. So the base always has to be an oil, and the reason for it, so it's around. Okay, so I'm gonna look super professional using the measuring thing for the first time ever. Because when I make a marinade, I never do, but okay, let's say it. So it's approximately 100 mils, so it's quite a lot. However, this marinade, if you're gonna have a leftover of marinade, just keep it and then keep adding tofu more and more. The beauty of this recipe is that this tofu can stay there, marinating for 12 hours, 24 hours, that's fine. And then you can bake it, and then a baked tofu will keep in the fridge for another 3-4 days, easy. So there is a bit of an oil. Now, oil is very important. So you have to start with oil, and the reason why the oil is binding all the flavors together. It's bringing up the flavors. Also, tofu doesn't have any fat at all. So without the fat, the flavors cannot really be absorbed very well. So this is really important for us to. Oil carries the flavor. This is a different type of oil. We're not deep frying anything. We're not going crazy. We're not, it's a completely different type of baking. It's going to be baked, and we're not going to have all of that in our tummy. So that's fine. It's going to be a lot of marinade. You'll see it in a minute. Then we're going to do soy sauce. So this is also quite important. So half of the quantity of oil, I'm going to put soy sauce. Now, why this is important? Because it carries all the umami flavor. So all the umami is there, all the, this meatiness, but in a good way, this depth, this kind of strong, nice, full-bodied flavor. It's important. So this is something that now we can go either way. We can go either way, mild thing, or we can go spicy. I'm gonna go spicy today. So I have got my favorite Gochugaru paste, which is Gochung. I probably said it completely wrong, but that's fine. So this is Korean Gochugaru paste. So this is already mixed up Gochugaru. So this is super nice, super spicy. So I'm just going to take around 2 tablespoons, teaspoons, whatever. And I want it a bit smoky as well. So I have the liquid smoke. Now, you don't have to have a liquid smoke at home. Do not worry about it. Smoked salt is very good as well. Or if you want a mild version with no gochugaru, so no chili, no nothing, because you've got kids at home and maybe you just don't fancy anything spicy, use the smoked paprika as well. This is perfect. So this stuff is super strong. So make sure you don't use a lot of it, because otherwise you're just gonna feel like you're eating the coal from barbecue or something like that. That's just not nice. So it's very, very important to be very, very careful with this. And why am I doing that in a jar? 2 reasons. First of all, shaking is super important and it's easy. Second of all, if I don't use all of that for my tofu, which I've already cut here, then I just store it in the fridge, and the next time you want to marinate it, you don't have to do all of this business. So it's a good way of just keeping this. This will keep in the fridge. There's nothing really that can go off. So we're just going to blend it, blitz it nicely. So this is my spicy one, okay? So always oil, remember, and always soy sauce, because it adds something to tofu, which is super important. Because tofu, as you know, and as I've mentioned in my first kind of episode of the tofu egg, tofu really doesn't have any flavor. I mean, you do really have to love tofu with all your heart to eat tofu without anything. But I applaud you for it if you do. I can't. I'm okay with tasting it when I choose my favorite brands of tofu, but I would not eat it like that. And I just don't recommend it, because I think that's why most of the people hate tofu. They had a bad tofu in the past, and you can have an amazing tofu that tastes really nice and rich, and it takes every single flavor. It's just amazing stuff when done correctly. So, just as a reminder, oil and soy sauce always. Now your choice, either way, spicy stuff. If you don't have the space, not a problem, put some chili in, put any kind of Tabasco, whatever you like really, it doesn't really matter. You can then, to make a little pasty stuff, always can have a tomato paste. Tomato paste is super good. Again, loads of umami in tomato paste, so loads of nice flavors. I can easily add it here as well, so make it a bit more tomaty, kind of richy. So and maybe add some sourness as well, because tomato paste has got some sourness. Liquid smoke, if you like something smoky, or maybe you've got a smoked salt lying around. You bought it once, you never knew what to do with it. Come on, it's time to use it now. Smoked paprika, super good for it. So we've got this stuff now, and it tastes heaven. Now, some people like to put some kind of agave syrups, maple syrups in here, which I've got just on hand in my little secret drawer. So maple syrup is good because it's gonna add this caramelization there as well. If you are not fan of adding anything sweet, and just a drop, really just a drop, nothing too crazy, but it's just going to cut through nicely and also caramelize our tofu quite nicely. So this is quite a lot. So can you see it's like a 1/3 of jar. So I probably have around 200 mils, probably more, actually more, that of my marinade. Now I'm just going to swim my tofu in it. So I'm probably used half of it, and it's already swimming nicely. Now we don't have to worry about covering all of the tofu fully. That's completely unnecessary, so don't worry about that. All you need to do is just make sure it's well covered, completely well covered. And once this is covered on both sides, just leave it there, and it's gonna soak up all the flavors super nicely. You can see already this is kinda going through the little holes in the tofu. I can't wait. So what we're gonna do, we're just going to close it, and you are set. Now I recommend making much more than that. It depends on the size of your family and stuff, because it goes well with your sandwiches. It goes well as a steak, hot. You can eat it cold, you can have it on a salad, you can have it, put it in your bun, in a sandwich, you can put it in your Buddha bowl, or you can just take it for barbecue and amaze all of the meat eaters and say, actually, I'm having this stuff and you should too. So check it out, guys. It's super easy, super simple. Don't be scared of tofu. Nothing scary. Leave that for at least 6, I'd say 12 hours. My trick is always to make this sort of stuff in the evenings, because then there is no waiting time. You just wake up and have amazing tofu. Then stick it in the oven around 180 degrees for approximately 20-25 minutes. When you see it's kind of nicely bubbling away, it soaked up all the juices, it caramelized, and you're just drooling. So yeah, definitely do this as soon as possible. Eat real food, ditch the fake outs, and enjoy cooking. Until